Hi everyone, this is Sharan. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to see how to use a tool called SweetWiz in order to do the detailed exploratory data analysis. This tool makes the exploratory data analysis very simple. With just one line of code, you would be able to do the analysis of all the attributes that is present in the data set, and you will be also able to get some insights such as like how many which attributes, how many data points are missing, how many outliers are present. It also provides some kind of insights such as like what is the distribution of that particular attribute, how many unit values are present, how it is correlated with the other attributes. So this one package with just one line of code, you will be able to get a very good understanding about all the data sets, all the data points that is available, and will give you a very good overview about what needs to be done after that. Like for example, like we would be able to clearly identify how many data points are missing so that we know clearly like what needs to be done to handle those missing data points. It will tell us like how many outliers are present so that we can have a plan of action for handling the outliers. It will clearly explain us like how different attributes are related to each other. It also enables us an option to compare two different data points. For example, the Titanic dataset that we are going to use, it has many categories. Like for example, here it has like people who survived and people who did not survive. So we can do a high level comparison between these two data points. We can see what is the difference between a male as well as a female. So we can by random divide the dataset into two equal data sets or let into two data sets. Maybe if we are going to make a prediction, so we would have a training data set and test data set. So we can also make a comparison between the training and then the test that we have created to see if they are all like in line with each other. Because if the training data set behavior is very different from the test data set, the models might not be so accurate. So this enables us to do those comparisons to see if the distribution are all right. So what we are going to do is we are going to go into the tutorial now, and then we are going to see how to use this particular package in order to do the exploratory data analysis and get all the insights that is required. So let's go into the tutorial. As you see on my screen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to first install the package. So the package is installed as SweetWiz. So in my case, like since the package is already installed, like it's quite quick. It says that the requirements is already satisfied. But if you are installing for the first time, it might take a bit of a time. So since the package is already installed now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open Jupyter Notebook. I'm going to the day 44. And yeah, so this is the script that we are going to work on today. So the first one is, as usual, we need to import all the packages that is required for this particular exercise. So here in this case, we are going to need pandas, we are going to need NumPy and SweetWiz, so which is the important package for today's exercise. So let me import all these packages which is required. So once we have imported the dataset, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue with the same Titanic dataset. So in the first 3 sessions of EDA and feature engineering, what we saw was, I will provide the link on the top. So what we saw is like what kind of exploratory data analysis usually is done on the particular data set, and what type of data transformations would be done on a data set, and how the feature engineering is done, how the new features are created. So by these 3 days, like you would have a very good understanding about what is happening in a particular exploratory data analysis stage of a particular project. So we do the analysis, we do data transformation, we create new features, and now what we are going to do is we are going to see much more options in order to do the exploratory data analysis much better, and what type of tools can help in doing this analysis and extracting the insights. So once we know how to extract, like once we identify some of the key points with which is exhibiting a certain kind of behavior, so then we can of course go back to our core strengths like the pandas library, visualization libraries, to make customized script to look for the specific patterns. But as such, these tools will help you in understanding the high level insights or like the high level behaviors that can be captured from the data set. So now, having said that, let's go into the SweetWiz and then see how to extract the various insights out of the data set. So here I'm going to read the train as well as test data set, and what I'm going to do is it's just one line of code. So SV is nothing but we are importing SweetWiz sv.analyze, and then we pass on the data set which we are going to analyze. So once we run this particular script, it might take few seconds or minutes depending upon the size of the dataset that you are working on. So once the analysis is done, so then what we are going to do is we are going to use show HTML in order to open this particular analysis that has been completed in a web browser. So let me run this one. So now we can see that within like few seconds, we are able to do an in-depth analysis of the complete data set. So if you see here, it has like the data set, like how many records are present, how many duplicates are found, how much space this is occupying in the RAM, how many features are present, how many of them are categorical, how many of them are numerical, how many of them are object. And we have a detailed about the passenger ID, like all the attributes in order, like how many of them survived, did not survive, and what is the number of distinct values. So if I see here, like maybe if I zoom here and if I can show you, so what happens here is it shows you like how many missing values are present in the particular data set, what are all the top categories, how it is correlated with the other attributes such as the sets, passenger class, the sibling and spouse, embarked, various attributes. So in case of categorical data also, it provides you some kind of an association between the variables. So this tool is really helpful in order to get a very good understanding about the data set. So now if I come back here, so here we can see that the passenger class, like for each of these attributes, so if I scroll to this particular attribute, what happens is on the right hand side, it gives us an in-depth analysis about that particular attribute. So here we can see like in case of passenger class, there is no data that is missing, and the top categories are 3, 2 and 1. So 3 is like it's been occurring for about 55% of the data sets. So this particular tool provides you a very in-depth analysis of like very in-depth details about the data set. This doesn't offer much flexibility. The analysis that you are seeing here are fixed, so you can't make any changes specific to the analysis that is being done for each and every attribute. But as such, like the details that is being provided itself is quite good enough to get a good understanding about the data set. So if I come to age here, so we can see the age, the missing parameter is being highlighted in yellow. So it says that about 20% of cases the age value is missing. So if I move on to the right hand side, so it shows us like how many records are actually missing this particular value, what is the most frequently occurring value, what is the smallest value, largest value, how it is being correlated with the other numerical values, also how it is associated with other categorical values. So this gives a very good understanding about the dataset as such. So now moving back to the script here. So what we have done is we have just mentioned that the layout should be widescreen and the scale should be 0.7. We can increase this scale, so it is quite flexible. Like even if we don't increase the scale here, we can zoom in the in the browser settings, and then we can it will be much more clear. So now moving on to the second one. So what we are going to see now is we are going to pass on the data set. Along with the data set, what we are going to do is we are going to pass on the target attribute. So here we are saying that the target attribute is survived. So in this particular case, what we are saying that we are going to make the prediction for survived attribute or survived column. So when we do the analysis, what we can do is we can ensure that each and every single attribute is compared to this particular attribute to see how they are correlated. So let me execute it. So again, it's just one line of code. It's sv.analyze, which will do all the analysis, and then we are going to do analysis like the attribute in which the analysis results are being stored, and then .show HTML will open up the analysis in an HTML in the browser as HTML, and we pass on few other parameters like how it should be opened, like it should be widescreen and the scale should be 0.7. So when I use scale 0.7, everything fits into my browser perfectly. So depending upon your requirement, you can like adjust the settings. So let me execute this. So once the analysis is done, it should open up in the browser. So now it is opened up. So we can see that the survived column is now highlighted and comes up in the top, which means that so this is the value that we are going to predict, and all the attributes, the comparison will be made to this particular attribute so that we know what if there is any kind of pattern. So now coming back to the data set. So next one is so we have done the detailed analysis for one particular data set. So now let's say we want to do a comparison. So in this particular case, let's say I want to do a comparison like the one that we just did, but I want to separate the data as survived individuals and people who did not survive, and I want to do the comparison side by side. So then what I'm doing is I'm splitting them into two groups, like people who all survived into one group and did not survive into another group based on the training data set. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use sv.compare, and I'm going to pass on these two data sets, and I'm going to see how or what kind of data or what kind of insights I can get out of it. So now if you see, like, there are two data sets. So here in this case we have just passed on the two data sets and we haven't given any name to it. So it picks up the default name. The first one is data frame, second one, the one that we are comparing, is compared, and it shows us all the details about how they are distributed. So we can see all the in all the charts, like side by side comparison, to exactly know what's happening, how the data is distributed when we split them into survived and did not survive people. So this is also very good in order to do the analysis. So we can do this analysis not only for survive and did not survive, we can also do this comparison for people for male as well as female, because that seems to hold a lot of good information in order to make the prediction. We can also, whenever we are going to split the data set into test and training, and we can also do this comparison to ensure that the distribution is good enough. Going back to our script, so the next one that we are going to do is I'm going to use the same comparison, but here what I'm going to do is I'm going to split them by sets, like male as well as female. And here the difference is I'm going to pass on the name to the data set. So now when I execute this one, you will see the difference here. So now what will happen is so here we can see the data is being named, like a male as well as female, so it becomes very clear. And coming to the last one, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a simple comparison about the test and train. So here in this case, the test is the actual test data that is available from the title competition. So I'm going to see how the data is distributed, like whatever data that is present in the test, that is provided in the test, is it inline or is it quite matching with our training data set. So if it is significantly different, so then no matter how well we train our models using the data set that we have, when we make a prediction on the test data set, it might not be accurate. So this is in order to see, in order to compare the test and training data set and be sure about how the data are distributed. So here, as you see, the distribution is quite good. So we can see the test and training are almost similar. What it means is if we are able to get and really good accuracy on our training data set, the model should pretty much work fine with the test data set as well, because the behavior is seems to be very, very close to each other. And that's it for today. So as I have mentioned today, SweetWiz is a very good tool for you to do the analysis about the data set, but you can't just depend on this one tool to do the exploratory data analysis. So the output of this particular tool will give you very good insights about what is happening, and it should give you some kind of direction, like the path in which you need to take, like the attributes which you need to focus on, and what kind of comparison that needs to be made. So this should be used as a pointer, and based on the exploratory data analysis knowledge that you have got so far based on the tutorials that we have covered, you should be able to do much more deeper analysis. That's it for today. If you have learned something new, please give a thumbs up. It helps in making this particular video to reach a lot of people. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you are interested in data science related content, and also click on the notification button to make sure that all my videos reach you. And see you in the next session. Bye until then.